We will delve into presidential politics this morning. Right now, we're 50 days away from the Iowa caucuses for the Republican Party. Here are those Republicans vying for the nomination to run against Joe Biden. 9 candidates still in the race. This morning, we will pay close attention to the man on the top row, second from the left. That happens to be Asa Hutchinson. He was born in Bentonville, Arkansas, and will be 73 early next month. Hutchinson earned his bachelor's degree in accounting from Bob Jones University, then his law degree from the University of Arkansas. He eventually went on to become the youngest federal prosecutor at 31 years old. Hutchinson, well, he has a long career in politics and government. He represented Arkansas in Congress from 1997 to 2001. Hutchinson ran the Drug Enforcement Administration from 2001 to 2003 under President George W. Bush, then served as an undersecretary in the Department of Homeland Security, specifically Border and Transportation Security, also under the Bush administration. Hutchinson's biggest political achievement to date, spending 2 terms as Arkansas's governor. He left office there at the beginning of this year. Hutchinson isn't polling well and doesn't stack up financially to the 3 leaders in the polls for the Iowa caucuses. He reported a little more than $325,000 in his campaign account at the end of September. Donald Trump, by comparison, more than $37.5 million. Ron DeSantis, $12.3 million. Nikki Haley, more than $11.5 million. There is a perception that the Republican race for president boils down to Donald Trump as the likely nominee and everyone else fighting to be second choice in case he falters. One man who pushes back on that generalization is former Arkansas Governor Asa Hutchinson. Thanks so much for being here, Governor.
I'm delighted to be with you, Jim. Thanks for the opportunity.
Of course. You're not polling well. You don't have a lot of money in your campaign account. You haven't spent that much time in Iowa. Outside this current trip, I guess, how do you expect to win the caucuses and eventually the nomination?
Other than that, life is great,
I'm
right?
sure, right?
Well, actually, we've spent a lot of time here in Iowa. We've just covered 19 cities over the last week, and so we've been here covering 2/3 of the state already. And so we've invested in Iowa. Iowa is very important. There's a lot of connection between Iowa and Arkansas, both ag states. We have small communities. We have good values, and so I feel very connected to Iowa. You know, in terms of the race itself, yes, Trump is way up here, but if you look at the polls, he's at 43% in Iowa. Nationwide, he's more like 60%. So Iowans are looking at it very carefully. That means 57% of Iowans think we need to have someone different. Now, whether I'm the recipient of that, we will see. So I'm making my own case that we need to have a pro-growth energy policy. We need to focus on the economy here in Arkansas in Iowa with my experience on border security.
And I want to get to some of your policies in a moment, for sure. I want to talk more about the political challenges first, because you're the only Republican candidate who took part in the first debate, who didn't qualify for the second debate. You weren't on the stage for the third one either. I'll give you a chance to be as if you were on that third debate stage, because the first question out of the box then was, for those 5 candidates who were there, the answer was, why should you be the nominee instead of Donald Trump?
Well, the answer is that I have the breadth of experience to lead our country during times of challenge. And then secondly, I understand as a governor the importance of balancing the budget. Donald Trump blew the gasket out of our national debt. Whenever you look at his approach to agriculture, for example, I believe that we ought to be able to open up more markets for the U.S. He wants to put a ring around the United States, and that would hurt Iowa agriculture and agriculture across the United States. I understand the importance of those markets. And so there's some differences there, but it's also a matter of who can lead the Republican side to victory. And that's where I believe that you need somebody that can attract independent voters. I won the last race with 65% of the vote in Arkansas. You don't do that without attracting independent voters.
And certainly Arkansas is not the rest of the country, but there is a strong case to be made that today's Republican Party is not the same party as it was 20 or 30 years ago, certainly not the same as I was growing up. What do you see as the current state of the Republican Party? Not what you want it to be. What do you see as the Republican Party is today?
Frustrated. They're frustrated that things don't get done in Washington, D.C.
Well, that's the rank and file Republicans. I'm talking about the party from the top, the National Republican Party, the people running it. How do you see the Republican Party right now?
Well, I think the national organization is become the Trump Party. I mean, he has dominated the Republican Party at the leadership level, and so whenever I'm running in the primary, I'm running against the establishment. I'm used to that. In Arkansas, I had to build a Republican Party from scratch, and so we're running against the establishment. Now, I don't think that's where the base is, and that's where you're going to overcome and make a difference for the direction of our country and party.
What do you make of Republican Congressman Chip Roy of Texas this week taking the House floor, being openly critical of the party when he said, I want my Republican colleagues to give me one thing, that I can go on and campaign and say that we did, just one thing. Did you hear them say that this week? I don't know, made national news. I mean, I knew you're on the campaign trail.
Well, I did hear that, and
basically he's calling his own party do nothing in Congress right now.
Which, it's not very practical whenever Republicans only control 1/3 of government. We have the House, we don't have the Senate, we don't have the presidency, so you're limited. Now, a lot depends on what you want to point to, but the most important responsibility of Congress is to fund the budget, and Congress has not done a very good job of that, piecemealing it together. Couldn't elect a leader whenever we needed support for Israel. We needed to make decisions on the budget. So there's a lot of fault to blame with Congress. I want them to function.
Yeah, people in the past have said that a divided Congress is when you can get something done, and yet we haven't really seen that as much in the last couple of years.
Well, I was in Congress when it was divided. We had a Democrat president, and we had a Republican Congress, and guess what we did? We balanced the budget. And so you can get things done, and so it takes compromise. Now, that's not the best word in the world for conservatives, but if you only control 1/3 of government, I don't know how you can have it function if you just blow the place up. And so you've got to be pragmatic about it. Ronald Reagan was pragmatic. He worked with Tip O'Neill to get his economic package through. And that's my model.
You made the point in the first debate that Donald Trump might not be eligible to be on the ballot based on the 14th Amendment's insurrection clause. You were resoundingly booed by the audience, if I recall. We've seen cases challenging this eligibility go to court. They've been rejected. Do you believe he should be on the ballots for caucuses and the primaries?
I do. I want the voters to decide. And so,
it didn't sound like that at the debate. You felt like he should be.
Well, I've said that I think he should step aside because of all that he has going on in 4 criminal cases and the fact that he's been found guilty of sexual abuse in New York State court. This is a distraction that no one needs for our country, and now he's indicated that he's on a revenge tour if he gets reelected. No, I don't think this is good. I don't want him to be the nominee of the party. But it's a different matter as to say whether he should be on it or not. He has a right to be on it constitutionally. Now, I think there is a cloud as to whether the courts will have that view or not under the 14th Amendment. We will see. But it's just another cloud that hangs over that.
We'll step away from the conversation for a moment. Coming up, abortion stance, how Asa Hutchinson feels about a national standard, or prosecuting women who leave states where it's banned to get the procedure where it's legal. For the Record.